So slowing down gives us a whole bunch of access. And relaxation, the reason why you become an absorbing machine of chi is because when you relax, you're receptive. When you're contracted, you are cut off. You can't absorb. So when you relax, the pores of your skin open up and you breathe slower, and you're not just breathing through your nose, your whole body's breathing. That's why in the classics, they say breathe through the pores of your skin all the way down to your heels. So your body starts to breathe in energy, and you can literally feel it in 1 or 2 practices because you relax. And at the end of class, you feel your whole body is tingling and buzzing, and you feel like lighter, and you're like, what just happened?
Greetings and welcome to the Dr. Espen podcast. I'm your host, Espen. Today I'm joined by someone who's going to teach us how to do things a little bit differently to the busyness that we might have had in our lives for quite some time. I, for one, know that I get caught up in the doing of life, and sometimes the fight or flight kicks in. And then speaking for myself at least, I tend to forget the true essence of moving at a pace in life which enables us to experience the beauty of it and to be in flow. So today we are joined by a Qigong master, a man that's been in search of peak performance, optimal healing for a very long time. He's spoken on the Mind Valley stages and stages around the world. And today Lee Holden is going to share with us the power of Qigong and the power of going through life in not necessarily so much of a rush. Lee Holden is an internationally accredited Qigong master. He's a licensed medical doctor and acupuncturist as well, and the author of 7 Minutes to Magic. He co-founded the Santa Cruz Integrative Medicine and Qi Center. We're going to talk a lot about Qi, about life force, about energy today in Santa Cruz. And what I think is exciting as well to introduce Lee to this is that he helps us see how Qigong can be used for healing and recovery, but also in terms of happiness and fulfillment. But what about that in terms of peak performance? And what is this thing called energy, and how can we use Qigong for such purposes? So, Lee, brother, welcome to the show. How are you today?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me. I love that introduction. I so appreciated it. And it's something that I'm deeply committed to. I'm passionate about. I've been on this path for the last 35 years. And you know what? After 35 years, I'm still so committed to it, every bit as passionate. And I just see the results each and every day. And even though this is ancient medicine, the application for modern life is huge. So huge. Yeah, let's dive in.
We just talked about that before we pressed record, and I'm going to just bring this sentence out, and then we're going to come back to this a little bit later at the end of the conversation with Lee. And he's got a new book coming out now. Check out the title of this book: Ready, Set, Slow. That title, when I read it, I got truth bumps, and right away I resonated with this in so much in my life. So I want to start there. It seems like this world is in a rush. Mm-hmm. We're rushing to get to this and to that, and there's fight or flight, and there's chronic disease. And now comes this newfound wisdom, which is ancient wisdom, the science and the philosophy and the application of Qigong and understanding how everything is energy. I'd like you to start there, Lee. Tell us maybe a little bit about your story and why you're so passionate about helping people come home to this beautiful flow state, this beingness, rather than the rush.
Right. And well-phrased question deserves a really good answer. So, it started for me with an injury. I was hurt. I was depressed. I had gone from a starting soccer position at UC Berkeley and super stoked, high on life, because all of a sudden I'm playing soccer for a Division I collegiate team. And, midway through the second game, I jump up in the air, my legs get taken out, I land on my tailbone. And the doctor says, "You're out for the season, buddy. Don't expect to play anymore." He gave me some cortisone shots. I took the medication. And, about 3 weeks later, I'm still in every bit as much pain as I was on that initial injury. and the medication gave me digestive issues and a stomach ache. And suddenly I remembered as a kid, I trained in martial arts, and this martial arts master, he made a big impression on me because he broke a stack of bricks, just bam, and the bricks shattered. And I was like, wow, how did you do that? And he looked at me and he said, it's the power of Qi. And then he said, Qi is not for hurting people, it's for healing. And suddenly I remember this, 10-year-old version of myself. And I was like, I got to go find that guy. I got to go get some of that Qi for healing. Well, he gave me acupuncture and he showed me Qigong exercises. He showed me about a half a dozen Qigong exercises and movements. And after that one session, I was like 70% better. I did 3 sessions with him that week and I was 95% better and ready to play. And so every game or every practice, I'd do my Qigong movements. I'd show some of my teammates and I was feeling so good. And I was so excited. I was like, why aren't more people doing Qigong? So I was like talking to people and like, hey guys, try to do this flowing movement and, embrace the tiger, return to the mountain. And people just were like, what is this crazy guy doing? And so it was just a catalyst for me. What was the worst moment of my life all of a sudden catalyzed into a whole different trajectory. I mean, I was studying psychology. I was dismayed by the way in which psychology was taught at a major university. And I started exploring books on Qigong and energy work. And I spent some time at a spiritual bookstore as opposed to going to class. I was cutting class and diving into this bookstore. And I was like,
you went to the right class.
And I walked out of the bookstore with a couple of Qigong books. And it was by a Qigong master called Mantak Chia, who was very well known in the 80s and still very well known. And I came out of the bookstore and on the telephone pole, Mantak Chia in town tomorrow. So I was like, I had these books. I was like, I got to go to that workshop. And luckily for me, I didn't have enough money to attend. And I went anyways. And I asked them, I said, hey, can I work for you guys? And they said, sure. So they put me in the bookstore. And every time Master Chia came to town, I would work in the bookstore. And I started then kind of working my way up and started writing pamphlets and leaflets and brochures. He asked me to write and caption this book he had called The Inner Smile. It was an Inner Smile comic book, and all the little organs in your body were like these cartoon characters. And then there's this little bubble about, what the organs were doing. Yeah. And so I captioned that book. And then when I graduated, I was like, gosh, all my friends are going to work in Silicon Valley. I think I'd like to go to Thailand and do some more work with Mantak Chia. So that's exactly what I did. And it just kicked off a whole Qi journey for me.
And you say that with such, joy emanating from you, buddy. That's so cool. I love how, and this is something that listeners and viewers might be able to resonate with, how sometimes our greatest pit becomes our purpose. Mm-hmm. How the pain on the soccer field revealed to you your spiritual quest. Mm-hmm. And here we are having a conversation, and you've led thousands and thousands of people around the world from wherever they are to healing and to other things. So can you tell us, in today's modern age, through, if you want to go the Chinese medicine route or the Qigong route or just your own hypothesis, it seems like we're stuck in chronic fatigue. It seems like we're stuck in the rut as a species in general. Where does one start to begin tomorrow to really either move, do some basic Qigong, just realize that we can take charge on this and now before it's too late? Yeah.
And wow, you just hit it on the head, because we are living in a culture that is wired and tired. And we're just like, we're so wired. We need that coffee and that energy drink. But then when we lay down to go to sleep, our mind is too active. We don't rest well. There's so much insomnia and so much fatigue, as you said. And it's because we just are out of balance. Like yin and yang, when they're in harmony and balance, lead to a lot of energy. When yin and yang are out of balance, that's what wired and tired is. Your yin and yang is not in harmony. You lie down to go to sleep at night. You're supposed to rest and rest well. When you get up in the morning, you're supposed to have energy because you've just rested for 8 hours. And unfortunately, most of us are tired when we wake up. We want to hit that snooze button. And then when we lie down to go to sleep, we have difficulties or the mind is too active. So how do we create that balance and harmony, that natural flow of energy? I have children, my 3-year-old, for example, and she plays and goes all day long, and she's got so much energy. And then we put her down to sleep, bam, she's out for 10 hours. And you hope that for your 3-year-old, right? It's not always the case.
I know the feeling.
They're good examples of natural flow of energy, and we can establish that. So Qigong started by mirroring the movements of nature. These ancient men and women would go out into nature and watch what nature did, and then mirror their bodies after the movements of the clouds floating in the sky, the trees gently blowing in the breeze, a wave in the ocean. You start to move your body in these very natural rhythms and patterns, and something quite miraculous happens. You start to regain this vital, vibrant life force energy. And it's extraordinary. I think people don't realize how much energy they could have. They don't realize what is their innate potential from within if you cultivated this energy. And, Qigong, sometimes I call it, as a modern term, a less stress, more energy practice. And, I had a TV show here in the United States, and it was called Less Stress, More Energy. And people were just like, I don't really know what Qigong is, but I want that. I want less stress and I want more energy. And who doesn't really want that? I think everybody could use a little bit of that at various degrees at different times in their life. So what I like to help people to do is have a morning practice that gets them charged up, gives them a lightning flash of vitality without a caffeine crash, a few hours later, and then something in the evening where they can unwind and de-stress and come back to their center so that they sleep and they rest really well, and they can let go of the stress of the day, and they could just start fresh, because too much stress leads to illness, disease, pain, and all kinds of chronic conditions. And we know that now in the West. For thousands of years in Chinese medicine, they've been talking about the root cause of disease is emotional stress. And, now we know that. We've done many, many studies, and we see that it's like not just a little bit, it's a lot. It's like 90% of our primary doctor visits are rooted in stress. And if we can lower our stress, we can prevent so many problems from arising. And that's the interesting thing about Chinese medicine. It started as preventative healthcare. It was actually true healthcare, because you came to your doctor, a Qigong master often was an acupuncturist, an herbalist, and they'd prescribe you exercises, give you some herbs, read your energy before it got imbalanced, before it actually became a problem in your body. They could sense it energetically and they would correct it, and it would never manifest. And you pay this doctor a little bit every month.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Not sick care, healthcare. Proactive.
Healthcare, exactly.
Big difference.
And so funny that if you got sick, you stopped paying the doctor. You did not do your job. So they got paid to keep you healthy. As soon as you got sick, the payments go down or they went away. And it is the exact opposite in Western medicine. Nobody gets paid unless people are sick. And even though we have a really highly advanced technological medicine, there is more sickness now than ever before, because the model is based on sick care and not true healthcare. So you've got a system here of Qigong as true healthcare. If you slow down your breath, you slow down your movement, you relax your mind, all of a sudden stress just completely evaporates from the body and you reset and rebalance. And this is what I love to teach people.
Firstly, what you just said, I've heard that before, and maybe been from one of your teachings. I purchased one of your programs some years ago, and I've enjoyed it many, many times. So thank you for that. Also managing my own stress in my own life, as a parent and as a business owner, and, man on a mission.
Yes, exactly. Stress is not going away, but just how resilient we can become to it increases.
And you know what's so funny? We make ourselves busy, and then the mind says, oh, no, you can't do that in the morning. So I found, like, for years now, I do not touch my phone in the morning. That thing is on flight mode in a different room. And unless I've done my yoga, my Qigong, my breath, my movement, my prayer, my meditation, it does not go on. And this is something that I really want to just mention to listeners and viewers, maybe something to consider, because in a moment we can ask Lee where we can go to learn some of this Qigong and where we can get access to morning and evening practices, because this will be, for many of you, a pillar in changing your nervous system from fight and flight to being present and in a beautiful state. And it's that standard. What is the standard in the morning? Do you get up and take care of everyone else, or do you actually say, absolutely not, I'm going to get up an hour early, and that's my hour, because when I can pour from a full cup. So Lee, just, I know, for example, for me, using many different Qigong classes, for example, programs online, YouTube, where would you say one goes to start? Maybe you've got some introductory classes, or maybe some advanced classes. I mean, many of our, particularly some of our one-on-one and business coaching clients, they're very successful people. And they're, which is where we'll go to next. I want to talk about the whole, biohacking, reverse aging, peak performance side of things. But before we go, we need to get our nervous system right. We need to get our health right. Where does one go to start the Qigong journey?
Beautiful. Thank you. Come to my website. I got so many resources on my website, holdenqigong.com. We got a 2-week free trial of a video class subscription. I teach 3 classes a week live. And if you can't make it live, they're always on the website for you to consume on demand. I have a 30-day challenge, which is only 7 minutes every day just to start that habit, that ritual. Instead of hitting the snooze button, is like, get up, do 7 minutes. And then all of a sudden you feel more energy. Yeah. Right? We all got 7 minutes. Yeah. I had to take the excuse out.
I love it. And, if the people say, I don't have 7 minutes, then just do 70 minutes instead.
Yeah, exactly. I don't have enough time not to do Qigong, because when you do your Qigong practice, you are more energized, you're more focused, you're clearer, you're more efficient, and you just get way more done. And so if you're busy, you absolutely need this practice, because it is such a great way to find your center and to really get clear on your priorities and really go for it with with a full tank, as opposed to a half a tank, and just kind of just muscling your way through it. Qigong is called the art of effortless power. And there's forces and energy that can conspire with you, like a surfer riding a wave. There's the first initiation of energy where you paddle into the wave, and then you just relax. And there's this whole current that you go with. And that's what's so fun. That's what being in flow state is all about. And that's what's possible with this practice. So I love that you said that. You just keep the phone on airplane mode. You wake up, you do a little breathing, you energize. There's like a few movements that you can do. And anywhere from 7 minutes to an hour is a wonderful way to start your day. In the ancient tradition, they say start your day with that lightning flash of vitality. And I always keep that in the back of my mind, because you can start your practice just before getting out of bed, doing some breathing. And then you get out of bed and you do some points, and you give yourself a little chi massage that brings the energy up. You do a few flowing movements that gets you into that meditative state of mind with a balanced energy system. And then you go after the day with a lot of energy, and then it's way more fun. The challenges don't become stressful that knocks you over, but you rise to the challenge and you get through it in an exhilarating kind of way. So it's a really different attitude when you start the day with your practice, as opposed to when you start the day kind of stressed out. And it's such a good point that you made. And I always remind myself of that, to put that phone away, let's get up 15, 20 minutes early and do my practice. And the day goes really different when you do it, as opposed to when you don't do it.
Oh, beauty. Okay, so let's now say we've got the foundations right. And just to be clear, the foundations never end. It's not like, I'll do Qigong for a month and then I'll be right. No, it's Qigong, yoga, breath, movement, whatever your thing is. It could be surfing, right? But there needs to be something, and that is for life. Now, it may change, it may be different things. I know I practice Qigong, I do martial arts, I do, all kinds of different things, different types of breath work as well. But the practice never ends. So that's like, okay, now we got the basics, right? Never, like Kaizen, constant and never-ending improvement on the self-practice and charging up. Okay, now let's talk next level. This is like peak performance stuff, because as I started to study the philosophies from around the world, from the Upanishads to all kinds of different traditions, I realized that in essence, Western, Eastern, doesn't matter, everything is energy. And we now know this. We know this. Max Planck proved this over 100 years ago. We're made up of consciousness and non-physical energy. And only a tiny bit is physical. And so then Qi, which is life force, this amazing force that is who we are, not just inside of us or somewhere, it's who we are. To be in alignment with this, to understand and equilibrate and create coherence within the mental, emotional, physical, etheric bodies, etc. I would love if you can talk to us a little bit about that. And then my hypothesis is you cannot reach peak performance in any area of life, let alone every area of life, if you cannot master your own energy first. So I'd love your 2 cents worth on that, please.
And it's so true. I mean, that's where it starts. So, like a Qigong saying is go in to go out. So you start with the internal energy, recognizing where we actually have power. People forget that where they have power is within themselves, and where they're powerless is externally. We can always do something to change our mind, to shift our energy, to transform negative emotions into present moment awareness. You have power within yourself. We can always take a deep breath. We can always move our bodies, but we can't always, change the weather, the political environment, somebody else's thoughts, somebody else's emotions. We can really do that for ourselves. And that is where we have such control over how we guide and direct this life force energy. Qi, it means life force energy. And that's different than the other energies around us. It's different than gravity. It's different than electromagnetism. It's different than the electricity running in your walls, because it gives life. It is the beating of your hearts. It's the electricity behind those heart cells that create that pumping. It is the feeling of love that also is in your heart. It's the light in your mind when there's no projector, there's no light source in your brain, yet we can see images. Even with our eyes open, you can be having a whole daydream of imaginations happening in your mind. You are a mystery, and Qi is a mystery. So to work with energy means we get like childlike wonder and like awe and inspiration that starts to happen with this practice, because we don't know everything. We can't conceptualize everything into something knowledgeable. So, when you start working with life force energy, with Qi, you start working with the mystical. So immediately this invisible life force energy helps you to become a mystic. And mystic simply means somebody who's working with the invisible energies of life, not just the material, but the invisible. And our technology runs on invisible energy, and our spirit and our spirituality is invisible energy. And Qi, in Chinese, the pictogram was mist rising from water, and that mist was the invisible, and the water was the form. So we have this form and formless that we're constantly working with. And about 99% of it is formless. That, there's intelligent energy inside of you is doing most everything without you having to do it. And so when we can tune into that, when we can relax into it, we can trust it, we start to get out of our own way, because most people are holding way too much tension in their bodies. All that contraction in your neck and shoulders really isn't serving you. It's just we want some kind of control and we don't have it. So we fight against our own powerlessness and we contract our muscles. And the contraction of the mind is repeating thoughts over and over and over again. And so the mind often will worry about something and then just repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. And there's much more to your consciousness than just repeating negative thoughts and worries. And so when we can calm the mind and relax the body, all of a sudden you awaken and open so many more doors in the mansion of yourself that gives you access to your inner potential.
Okay, that's it, everybody. The podcast is over. That's all you need to know. Go back and listen to that again. Brilliant.
Put it in a nutshell.
Let that sink in, though, in the beingness, not just in the thought. Absolutely love it. Okay, so it starts with recognizing that who we are and our potential. And then there is this non-negotiable practice, right?
Mm.
Of morning and evening. And then let's talk energy. There is this concept, and correct me if I'm wrong, but through my limited experience of Qigong, and I've been practicing, regularly but intermittently for years now. One of my Qigong teachers says, you must be a cheese sucking machine. And the first time he said that, I thought, oh, that's a bit vulgar, isn't it? And then he explained, he said, no, chi is everywhere. You're not taking it from anyone. You're not stealing it from anyone. You can call upon chi from everywhere and you can charge up. You can charge it in the Dantian, lower, middle, upper. I think lower is what we mostly work with there. And you can charge up these storehouses of energy to accumulate life force, and you can move that into creation, into your business or your relationships or your health or your healing. I'd love to know your philosophy on that, please.
Yeah. Cheese sucking machine. I think that's so great because, cheese everywhere, but often it is not, we're not tapped into it. Sometimes we can look at our technology and say like, there's all these frequencies in the room around us, but unless we have the right station, we don't tap into it. We don't get that information. And the same is true with us. If we're going too fast, we're too busy, we're stressed out, we're cut off from this energy. In order to tap into it, what the ancient masters said was slow down, get your mind clear and in the present moment, and relax your body. And those seem to be really three key starting points. So slowing down gives us a whole bunch of access, and relaxation. The reason why you become an absorbing machine of chi is because when you relax, you're receptive. When you're contracted, you are cut off. You can't absorb. So when you relax, all of a sudden your body, it's like the pores of your skin open up and you breathe slower, and you're not just breathing through your nose, your whole body's breathing. That's why in the classics, they say, breathe through the pores of your skin all the way down to your heels. So your body starts to breathe in energy, and you can literally feel it in one or two practices because you relax. And at the end of class, you feel your whole body is tingling and buzzing, and you feel lighter, and you're like, what just happened? Well, you just basically relaxed, and with intention, mind and body were in alignment as opposed to in opposition of one another. Your energy becomes replenished. It's like being plugged in. Every single device needs to get plugged in. And when we go to sleep, that's one way we can recharge. But when you do Qigong, here's the magic. It's both yin and yang. It is the sunset or the sunrise of exercise. It's not full daylight. It's not nighttime. It is right in the middle. Like when you watch a sunrise or you watch a sunset, you're just like, wow, so beautiful. I feel so connected to nature. I feel at peace. You're moving, but you're moving with relaxation. So movement is yang and relaxation is yin. You're meditating, but you're not just sitting down meditating. You're actually meditating through motion. So again, yin and yang is in balance. Meditation, yin. Movement is yang. So you're doing this thing in harmony, and you're finding this beautiful slipstream where all of a sudden you get caught up in this current and you're soaking it up and absorbing it. Most people go through life absorbing negative energy. So they're on the lookout. They're scanning for danger, worried about the future. What if? But when you start to do Qigong and you slow down, you line yourself up with a different frequency. You're actually absorbing the kind of energy that you want. We want inner peace. We want a light sense of joy. We want to feel happy. These emotions are frequencies. They're energy, meaning that they're not tangible. We can't do open heart surgery and see how much love is in your heart or how much joy. It's a frequency. It's an energy. But we all know the difference between stress, anger, agitation, or, joy, happiness, excitement, passion. They're really different feelings in the body, even though they're not tangible. So how do we shift stations? How do we get our fingers on the dial? And that's your practice. That's why we need to practice, because we're hardwired for survival. So we're going to tend towards the negative. And if your tendency as a species is to look for danger and scan towards the future for the things that might happen that you don't like, we're going to be hyper vigilant towards the negative and stress. You need a practice that will bring you back to center, that will bring you back to the moment and line you up with the frequencies, the energy that you want to be tuned into. And that's why we need to practice. That's why we have our morning practice or an evening practice. You know, we don't have to teach people how to worry or be stressed out. We kind of have that hardwired. We don't have a Qigong practice like, hey, you probably should worry a little bit more. No, we got that down. So we have to create that balance and transform, unless we're, you know, confronting a grizzly bear on the precipice on the edge of a cliff. We don't really need that hypervigilant stress mode, survival mode. We actually need something else, especially in modern life. And so your practice helps you to dial in the energy that you really want, that we want to feel. We don't have to wait till the future. You don't have to wait until your bank account hits some number. You don't have to wait till somebody else does something for you. You can tune into it each and every day, and even multiple times a day. If you want inner peace, there's a step-by-step process to get you there. If you want to be joyful in your heart, you do these certain exercises, modulate your energy in a particular way, and it'll transform wherever you're at into that particular frequency.
So I was so excited to have you on the show, man, because this is something that has absolutely made a huge change in my life, more than I could begin to imagine. In fact, when I run my 3-day, I have a curriculum called Quantum Advanced, where we go through emotional healing primarily. So we collapse fear and guilt and shame and grief and sadness, basically working our way from the lower centers and then just clearing interference in the energy system. And one of the hypotheses is that once we have done that and we've cleared the lower frequencies and we've healed, you know, the traumas and the wounds, then the system is open and we're clear and we can begin to call in more chi, more prana, more light. And so I do Qigong on day 2. Now, I'm not an expert by any means, but I just take them through a very basic, simple, flowing breathing practice, and it's been so well received. So I'm excited for our listeners and viewers to go and check out your stuff, to really go where, 30 years in this field, that there's a lot of energy behind that, there's a lot of experience behind that, and to be able to, and also know how we can exchange energy by even tuning into a practice like that. So thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah, thank you. Wonderful.
Yeah, man, I mean, as we do, right? But I just wonder if right now listeners and viewers could set themselves a challenge. Firstly, make a decision if this is something that you would like to try and or revisit perhaps, or go to the next level with perhaps if you're already practicing. And if the answer is yes, then the next step is go to Lee's website and check it out. Maybe try the challenge. And see where that goes. See what happens in 30 days. How long is the challenge for?
Yeah, there's a 30-day challenge. That's the 7 minutes every day in your inbox. You just get a new 7-minute routine. I mean, you get to keep all 30 routines. And then we have a 2-week free trial of my video class subscription. So that's more of like an hour class. And we always edit that hour class into a 20-minute version. So you get to choose either the hour or the 20-minute version. And there's always like the latest 12 classes on demand.
I think you said it beautifully before. No excuses. It's a step-by-step blueprint. It's laid there right out before you, and you may choose to take it if you wish. And it's something to, from speaking from my experience, definitely something to try. Okay. Now, energy accumulation. Is it possible to reach peak performance if we don't do these kinds of practices?
I mean, the human potential is vast. And I think there's some people that naturally do it. They just have a positive outlook. They are resilient. When an obstacle comes through, they just blast through it. These practices, for me, are key to unlocking the inner potential. We have a treasure trove inside ourselves. Sometimes we just don't have the key to unlock it. Schooling doesn't do it. Often the way we're raised, our parents, our friends, our family, we don't have great role models. I've been lucky enough to have traveled all over the world and studied human potential, mainly from the energetic Eastern side, and seeing what Qigong masters, martial arts masters, Tai Chi masters can actually do when they train specific things for, a few hours every day, like an Olympian. And it is extraordinary what we can do.
Tell us about this, because this was the course that I purchased from you some years ago. It's about superhuman or something like that.
Correct. Yeah, it was called, originally it was called Searching for Superhumans, but now it's called Superhuman Experience. You know, we just shifted it to have everybody be able to have their own superhuman experience, because we're all unique. We're all unique human beings with, nobody has the same energetics as each other, just the same way we don't have the same fingerprints. And so what is our unique expression of this energy, and how do we tap into that and be able to share our own unique gifts with the world? So superhumanexperience.io, you can see the docuseries that I produced. We traveled all over the world and we met incredible individuals. You know, only a handful of them made it to the actual footage. But there were some other incredible masters that they just asked us not to put them in the film, or, you know, the filming didn't go quite as well as we wanted. But these incredible individuals that just blew my mind on what they could do, you know, energetically, psychically. You know, we had some Russian psychics that were blindfolded with medical grade blindfolded, and we would just put, you know, shapes with colors in front of them, and they would be like, oh, that's a blue square. Oh, that's a yellow star. And then somebody ran to the car and got the car manual and put it in front of her, and she started reading the car manual, and she just basically said, this is not interesting book. And she, you know, English wasn't her first language. She read like 3 or 4 sentences. We were just like blown away. And we met, you know, many different people with these kinds of abilities. And it always just made me think, like, what are they doing? How are they tapping into some innate aspect of our consciousness that most of us aren't? And, you know, it just, you know, the bottom line is the human potential is vast. It takes some cultivation, like a gardener cultivating a garden. You know, we prune back the negative and we allow the flowers and the fruit and the vegetables to flourish. But it takes this cultivation. That's why Qigong is called energy cultivation. And you said it so well earlier, that it's not something that you just do for today. I did my Qigong, so I don't have to do it the rest of the week. You know, health is a journey, not a destination. You can't just be like, oh, I ate healthy and exercise today, tomorrow I don't have to do it. It's an ongoing process. Not that you have to do it every day, but you do something if you can every day. And we create good habits that lead us in the direction of our dream life. We want to be healthy. We want to be vibrant. We want to be connected. We want to be loving. That takes a cultivation of a particular kind of energy, and we cultivate it and we grow it. And each and every day we do a little bit, and we prune back the stress, and we grow and cultivate the energy that we want.
I love this. Okay, so then if we talk, they say that there's more in the field than what we can see. I think I read up on this recently. The human eye can approximately see 0.008% of the colors of the spectrum, approximately 0.0035% of the sounds that exist. Is what we can hear. Since we know that everything is energy, and us at the current state of human evolution, for the majority of people, are stuck in a very low part of their potential. We see, we feel, we experience, you know, a blip on the radar in this matrix. If we are then to realize that everything is energy, and we are to witness the evolution of the human species, as in becoming more conscious as a species, I trust that we've already done it. You know, the light has won, whatever, you know, we are going to make this transition. If that is the case, how does one now play a part in that evolution, more so for themselves and for their own family?
Wow. And it's so true that what we see with our 5 senses and experience is a very, very small spectrum of what's actually there. And what we are seeing and what we are hearing is energy, because it's vibration. And it's even quite miraculous that as the air from my lungs passes through my vocal cords and creates this vibration through the waves, invisibly through the air, and hits your eardrum and creates this vibration in your eardrum, and that creates those little tiny bones in the ears, create this beating that creates an electrical impulse that comes into your brain that turns it into information. That alone is miraculous, that we even understand each other, because it's energy from my vocal cords to energy in your ear to your energy in your brain. It is all energy. So we are picking up a very small spectrum of that energy. And I think with practice, you start to expand those perceptions. Your kinesthetic intuition, your inner feelings become much sharper. The way in which you feel energy and sense it heightens. The way in which our internal dialogue, we start to hear the voice of our intuition. We become much more connected, empathetic in our heart center. So we feel people's emotions, and we feel basically much more connected to this field and to each other. The feeling of connection creates a feeling of oneness. And so as soon as we start feeling more connected and heighten those perceptions, the natural emotion is to feel compassion, because if I'm not separate from this field and I'm not separate from you, then I want to take care of you and this field and this beautiful planet and nature, because it's all me. And that's kind of where we want to get to, is this really deep felt sense that I'm not just at it alone. It's not just about my survival. It's about all of us thriving, as opposed to just trying to survive with me and mine and my family and feeling cut off. And I think that is going to be the tipping point where we start to feel much deeper connections and the many different multifaceted layers of what life has to offer. And then we're like much more loving human beings, because in the scheme of things, the potential of human beings can go very dark and it can go very light. And we want to push into the light if we're going to really survive and thrive as a species, because survival mode is not serving us anymore. We're past that. We're into a whole different mode of being. And I think, right now we're at this, balance point. And, if we can shift into that light, into those feelings of connection, we're going to live in a whole different world than if we're stuck in stress and survival.
I loved what you said before in regards to how Qigong is mimicking the movement of nature. What a beautiful way to tap into the field and to tap into Gaia by mirroring through breath and movement that of nature. I love it. Have we got 5 minutes of your time left?
Absolutely.
Okay, let's go. A couple of quick ones. Energy security. Okay, so this is a different conversation, right? But we know when we spend time around negative people, it rubs off if we don't have the appropriate, protection or awareness or hygiene or whichever. We know that if we focus on negative thoughts, it reduces our vibration, makes us sick. When we stay stuck in fight or flight, we automatically focus on stress, which makes it worse. We've already had, part of that conversation. But since there are benevolent beings and also malevolent beings, and we understand everything is energy, we can only see such a limited spectrum of what exists in the field, in this room right now. And, there are so-called, good entities and bad entities. What are your thoughts on perhaps the Qigong side of things or the energy side of things in terms of how to protect ourselves and how to have good hygiene with our energy?
Such an important question. In Qigong, we call that particular kind of Qi, it's called Wei Qi, which means protective energy. There's two kinds. There's one is your physical immune system. And we all know that if you're less stressed, your immune function goes way up. Your immune system is stronger. We protect ourselves more from those viruses and bacteria. You're just that much more resilient. The same is true with emotional energy. The pericardium is called the heart protector. If your pericardium Qi is weak, you start to take on other people's emotions. You start to feel what they feel. If somebody says something that you don't like, you start feeling bad. You really are really easily manipulated by emotional energy. So to strengthen the pericardium Qi means you're strengthening your heart protector, your emotional immunity. And what that means and how that feels is that you can be empathetic and compassionate, but you're not taking on that person's energy. You're not feeling in your own body their pain, their stress, their agitation. This is so vitally important because emotional energy is so confusing for people right now. They don't know how to deal with it, how to discharge it, how to, as you said, have really good emotional hygiene. So we're constantly reactive instead of responsive emotionally. And that practice of strengthening your Wei Qi is very specific. You do certain kinds of movements certain kinds of breathing exercises, and you have this almost golden field. It's called a golden shield around your body. And that negative energy just sort of stays on the perimeter, on the barrier, and your own energy stays intact. Because if the pericardium, if that heart protector gets invaded and the pathogenic chi, the negative emotional energy, gets to your heart, that's when you start to feel really emotionally out of balance and frustrated and agitated or even depressed. And sometimes we don't even know why, because we've just taken on the energy of the news or the room or that person. And it's really easy to feel out of balance and out of sorts. Now, the next step, when you feel emotionally out of sorts, you're stressed, you're agitated, it really wreaks havoc on your physical body. So address it at that Wei Qi level, at that emotional level, discharge it if it comes into your body. One simple exercise that I show is just shaking like an athlete before an event. You just shake, and 2 or 3 minutes of shaking, and all of a sudden, oh, I feel way better. I've just discharged all that energy. So, these techniques aren't just for professional athletes. They're for peak performers. That you want to be a peak performing parent, you got to discharge the stress. You got to discharge the agitation and come back to your center to be your best self in whatever it is you're doing.
Oh, I think a lot of our listeners and viewers will be downloading this, hopefully sending this to as many people as you think would benefit from this conversation, and maybe even like I'm going to do, listen to this over and over again. I got one last question for you, sir, but I think we need to reconnect and get your message to more people. I'd love to do a follow-up of this at some point.
Let's do. Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, here's the last question, straight off the cuff. I want you to imagine that you are on the world stage. Every sentient being alive has gathered, watching, listening, and tuning into your message. When you're ready, take a breath and do share, Lee. What is your message to the world right now?
It's really about connecting, that we are connected. And that connection, the energetic of connecting, we call love. And it is such a powerful force. And when we're tuned into that vibration, that frequency, the chi of love, we don't feel like fighting and being in conflict and being agitated. We feel like moving our bodies, and we feel like dancing. We feel like doing Qigong. We feel like we're part of something bigger. And so if we can let go of the unnecessary, raise our vibrations, tune into our heart, and feel that loving chi, we're going to feel that sense of connection to each other, to our humanity, and to nature and the world all around us.
And so it is. Ladies, gentlemen, new book out now. Ready, set, slow. Lee, where do we go to get the book?
You go to Amazon or any of your local bookstore. That's the best place to get it. And I'm super excited because it's going to take a lot of these Qigong principles and just put them into everyday life and make it really accessible, applicable. People don't even need to know what Qi is, because sometimes that's a hurdle. Qi what? That's just weird. But, slowing down your breath, like if everybody just takes a really slow breath and a slow exhale, all of a sudden your energy will shift. And so there's simple techniques about how slowing down in strategic times during the day, not all day, but strategic times, so that you actually create more moments of elevated energy throughout the day. You actually become more productive, more connected, more efficient. So slowing down is a great way to be efficient and get a lot more accomplished. So would love to see you guys at the website. Come do some Qigong and get ready, set, and slow.
Oh, absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, just one last time, that is holdenqigong.com and Holden Qigong Official on the socials. Lee, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you for sharing this powerful knowledge with us, and we can't wait to have you back and to do your challenge. I'm excited. I'll be starting tomorrow morning.
Fantastic. What a delight to be on your show. Thank you so much for your skill and your inquiries and questions. I loved every minute of it.
Same. Thank you. Until next time, Lee Holden, everybody.